Time flies when you are having fun or when you are listening to Iems. It is already the middle of 2024 and boy did we have some incredible releases this year. So today we will talk about some of my top picks that I cannot resist taking them off of my ears. So the first one will be IO Audio's Volare. When the Moondrop variations first hit the scene, it seduced me with its sonics that has immense finesse. But the thing is, it is a little old by now, and that is where the Volare comes in. To me, the Volare is the spiritual successor to the Moondrop variations. The Volare does things quite differently compared to other chifi offerings. IO Audio clearly did put in quite a bit of effort to the design and manufacturing of the Volare. From the packaging to the IEM chassis, this is one detailed experience. Heck, even the leather case on the Volare is pretty well thought out. It not only looks nice but has a very satisfying feel when opening and closing the case. The cable here has one of those interchangeable plugs that feature a threaded section so that you can keep swapping the plugs without fear that it might one day become loose. Lastly, you have a plethora of tips to choose from and they are mostly pretty decent. Accessories are very well created and usable. The chassis of the earphones are a thing of beauty with a glittery grey chassis that plays with light oh so nicely. The faceplate here is cohesive and continues this interesting interplay with light. It also features some monochromatic leaves on it. The Volare is a tri-brid IEM with one dynamic driver, 4 balance armatures and 4 EST. The implementation of drivers here is a very traditional approach with the dynamic driver handling the bass while the balance armature deal with the mid-range and the EST filling up the top end. The dynamic driver here has a silica gel suspension with a birch dome, which is actually really quite cool. When it comes to sound, like the Moondrop variations, it is smooth and detailed with excellent treble extension. The Volare is technically more modern as well. Bass on the Volare, as mentioned, is chiefly rendered by the dynamic driver, which is a good choice as it allows for a more dynamic listen. I would say that for dynamics, the bass hits hard and has an overall good texture. It is a sub-bass dominant earphone that scoops the mid-bass but not very aggressively. Tonally, I found that it does render bass details pretty nicely and distinctly enough. The mid-range rendered by the Volare is very suitable for popular music as it is largely an overarching smooth character that is paired with some added bite for better resolution perception. The 4 ESTs form the heart of treble for the Volare. I'm always a fan of EST drivers as the way it usually renders treble is often very smooth and airy, tonally quite different from the treble rendered by balance armatures. Now on the whole, I found the Volare to be hugely enjoyable and a welcome update to the Moondrop variations. Kudos to IO Audio for putting so much heart into the product. And next we'll talk about the next IEM that I would wholeheartedly recommend in 2024. And that would be the Simgot EM10. Now the Simgot EM10 is the counterpoint to what the IO Volare is. The Volare leans a bit more natural while the EM10 goes the other direction and is really warm. The EM10 is made with 3D printing and with extensive post-processing. This results in a beautiful glossy chassis. In terms of color, it looks black in normal light, but when you actually backlit them, you will know that they look translucent brown. The earphones themselves are largely comfortable and manage to rake up hours in my years of use without any discomfort. Inside the chassis of the EM10 features an exquisite combination of drivers, 1 dynamic driver plus 8 balance armatures plus 1 piezoelectric ceramic driver. Talking about this a little deeper, an 8mm dynamic driver is used here for bass response, 8 balance armatures were specifically chosen to fill out the mid-range and treble, and lastly, the piezoelectric ceramic driver is then utilized to complete the ultra top end. All these drivers work in unison through the use of a 4-way crossover, enabling the drivers to work in their optimal zones to avoid distortion. So one really interesting thing about the EM10 is that it features different color faceplates. On the left you have silver, while on the right it is finished in an anodized black. Both feature a stylized dream word on them. Sonically, Simgot packed the EM10 quite differently from how they did with the EA500LM or the EA1000, where those featured an elevated upper mids with excellent resolution and technicalities for the price. they did lean a little leaner when it comes to tonality. The EM10 focuses on being more dynamic sounding, emphasizing sub-bass and mid-bass. Mid-bass here is really slightly scooped, but still leaves plenty to provide a deliciously thumpy mid-bass, which is missing from a lot of recent releases. Mid-bass rendered by the EM10 is spectacular for both male and female vocals. Male vocals sounding fantastic. It's not really that common in a lot of IEMs these days. Usually they don't sound with a lot of gravitas and it's not very full, but on the EM10, male vocals sound gloriously full. I found treble extension to be excellent on the EM10. It does its job but never really demands to be the center of attention. This results in a tone that is subtly airy and very smooth. The EM10 is the yin to the Volare's yang. What is special about the EM10 is that it adopts a warmer tuning that is still very capable in terms of technicalities, which I cannot say the same for other warm IEMs. Usually when it becomes warm, it's a little bit muddy, but for the EM10, it's still really rather clear. This is really quite a rarity in 2024. Now the next IEM that is one of my top picks in 2024 would be the Moondrop Dusk. Yes, this is the latest Crin collab with Moondrop. If you have seen the Dark Saber, which was released by Moondrop in 2023, the Dusk looks really similar with an exquisite wood faceplate. The way this wood catches the light is really rather pretty and almost shimmery. There isn't too much Moondrop or Crinkle branding on it, but only feature the words Dusk on the right faceplate. The chassis is 3D printed and it is really clear and really quite pretty. Inside the chassis of the Dusk are 6 drivers, 2 dynamic drivers, 2 balance armatures and 2 planars. It is quite refreshing to see the integration of planar drivers into a hybrid design. The 2 dynamic drivers here are 10mm in size and are arranged horizontally opposed, which allows it to be more dynamic. The usage of 2 microplanar drivers for treble frequencies is also really quite refreshing, as it allows for a new tonal color, which in the past it's pretty much almost all done by balance armatures, with the exception of some ESTs. There are 2 cables provided, one of which is the DSP USB-C cable, which is great if you're an Android user. You can just plug it straight into your phone. But I would rather you use the 3.5mm cable instead, as the software for the DSP functions are really buggy. I could not manage to get it to work on my Android phone, so if you manage to do so, you are really lucky. For the folks watching, I think you might have an idea on how Crin likes to craft the sound of his collabs, usually with a scoop mid-bass section to give an impression of really clear and distinct mid-range. This also results in an emphasis on sub-bass as well. There usually would be an emphasis on the upper mids around the 2 to 3K section, but on the Dusk, this is a bit more relaxed sounding. The Dusk is a play on the popular natural warm signature with a suppressed 2 to 3K frequency band and a slightly scooped out mid-bass. As such, you might have expected bass on the Dusk to be a bit more sub-bass dominant, while the mid-bass has been tuned down. Bass texture here is excellent with great resolving power. Sub-bass integrates with the mid-bass really well and is largely cohesive. On the whole, bass is very clean sounding and integrates itself very well with the larger soundscape. Female vocals are pristine with good weight and sound surprisingly airy. Resolution is fabulous, and especially at its asking price, it renders details quite effortlessly. Male vocals have a natural tonal weight. Neither is it warm nor actually lean, so it sits in a very nice balance. There are similarities with the female vocals when it comes to resolution and effortlessness. Treble tuning is amazing. Consistently, I found the Dusk to provide an airy listening experience while doing it so effortlessly. It does not need to rely on elevated trebles for the perception of air. I found the Dusk to be an easy recommendation, but really the only thing that is kicking it down is the DSP cable, as that really isn't too good. So yes, these are my top picks for 2024. I'm wondering, what are some of your favorite top picks? Do share them in the comment section below, because I really like to know. And if you really like the content so far, please press the like and subscribe button, and if you have already done so, you are a fabulous and fantastic person. Anyways, with that said, thanks for watching. But before that, I think there needs to be one special mention, which I have not said yet. Now, I also enjoyed the Simgot SuperMix 4. Many have been saying that these are rather similar to the EM10. I get that they both feature a newer sort of tuning that Simgot is currently doing with a overall thicker tonal weight. I would say between the two, think of it as an EM10 Lite. It does have a similar thicker tone, but does not have the same refinement in terms of technicalities like the EM10. Nonetheless, I still think that it is really great for the price. Diving into the chassis of the SuperMix 4, we have 4 drivers pushing out the sonics. 1 dynamic driver, 1 balanced armature, 1 planar, and 1 piezoelectric driver in the SuperMix 4. Yes, this is a quad-bridge IEM. Now the SuperMix 4 is one smooth operator. Done characteristically by the dynamic driver based on the SuperMix 4 is beautifully dynamic with natural resonance. It is more sub-bass focused, which allows for a cleaner perception of mid-range. Sub-bass extension is also really nice as well. Mid-bass is reduced but only just. You still get excellent thumps whenever the kick drum comes in. Bass guitar is also very distinct in the recording as the resolution is actually pretty good in the lower regions. Bass frequencies layering is also really well done. Even in complex bass lines, it never becomes overly congested sounding. The SuperMix 4 adopts a warmer than natural sort of tonal weight. It leans warmer. It has a very musical, smooth sound that has good levels of resolution. Vocals are liquid gold on the SuperMix 4, creamy and extremely polished. I do enjoy listening to female vocals on them. Only short of using an electrostatic driver, this is as good as it gets for treble. The planar and piezoelectric driver here work seamlessly and delivers a tremendous treble performance. The SuperMix 4 is effortlessly airy with beautiful extension. In essence, the SuperMix 4 is a more affordable variant of the EM10 that has similar tonal characteristics but lack the technicalities and finesse of its more expensive sibling. For the price, I say they deserve a special mention. With that said, this is the true ending of this week's episode. I hope you like my roundup for the first half of 2024. I hope to see you guys soon.